I'm going to kick it over to Morgan, who will facilitate it.
Thank you all for being here today. We'll call up panels of 3. First, we'll have Justin Green, Arif Sunmonu, and Marissa De Dominicis. Justin, you may begin.
Yes. Okay, great, thank you. Hi, I'm Justin Green. I'm the Executive Director of Big Reuse. Thank you guys so much for having us. And thank you, Chair Nurse, for all your support for community composting outreach. And as we're fighting to restore our funding for community composting and outreach, we've seen an incredible outpouring of support with over 40,000 letters submitted and hundreds of people at a rally. Right now, our budget at Big Reuse for outreach is being cut. We are the street team for Department of Sanitation for curbside collection. We have 9 staff who have been working on this for the last 2 years with 6 part-time staff speaking 7 different languages, going door to door throughout the city, going to over 900 events a year, speaking to over 75,000 people about curbside each year. Right now, the city, with these pegs, is going to eliminate that team completely. They're also eliminating our community composting team, who's been working on promoting composting for the last decade. In the city, we compost over 2 million pounds of material a year, provide 1,500 cubic yards of compost to community gardens, 250 community groups, and street tree care events. The city is also completely cutting funding for that program. We are part of a coalition of 7 other community groups who are also losing their funding, resulting in 115 jobs being cut that are all supporting composting and outreach for curbside. Now, obviously, this makes 0 sense when you're launching a citywide program for composting, for curbside collection, to be cutting the 115 most dedicated people that are supporting that program, eliminating green jobs during a climate crisis, eliminating those jobs while launching a program is sort of doesn't make sense. So we're hoping the city will actually expand community composting and expand outreach instead of cutting it. I think it makes sense to support this to eliminate rats. Thanks.
Thank you, Justin. And I should have mentioned this earlier. Folks will have 2 minutes each to testify and also 72 hours after the hearing to submit written testimony. Arif, you may begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairperson Nurse and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here today. My name is Arif Samanu, and I'm the Government Affairs Lead here at Grow NYC. I'm a nonprofit that's played a pivotal role in improving the environmental quality of New York City for the past 50 years. One of the secondary benefits of composting and food scrap collection is rat mitigation. More than 1/3 of all the trash in our city comes from organic waste, while just 1.4% of that is composted. Much of this waste is not separated and put in traditional black bags, providing rats with a vital source of food. We've all had the unpleasant experience of seeing trash bags being pilfered by a gang of rats. Through food scrap containerization and composting, through food scrap containerization, composting can play a pivotal role in the city's fight against rats. Grow NYC's Zero Waste program works with communities to help them responsibly manage their waste and separate their food scraps. In FY23, we provided New Yorkers with over 2,600 opportunities to drop off food scraps at our 52 sites. Through the collective efforts of over 400,000 New Yorkers, we diverted over 2.5 million pounds of food scraps. Additionally, our Zero Waste Schools program has worked with over 800 schools implementing school-wide composting and recycling. We've provided outreach and education to thousands of New Yorkers, which have bolstered not only the community composting program, but the curbside program as well, as echoed by the commissioner. While organic waste collection is critical to curbing greenhouse gas emissions and keeping our city clean, it also eliminates the #1 food source for rats. Several municipalities have cited compost as a cost-effective method to decrease the rat population. Additionally, a study by the Department of Sanitation found food scrap collection and community composting are an effective tool in mitigating the city's rising rat population. This, amongst many reasons, is why we were so alarmed when Commissioner Tisch cut the community composting program, effectively eliminating Grow NYC's compost program and shuttering over 198 food scrap drop-off sites across the city. In addition to these environmental and social costs, there's an economic cost as well. If these cuts were to go through, we'd see the termination of 115 jobs, including 50 union jobs. And additionally, New Yorkers will lose access to free, accessible educational resources, making adoption of the curbside program that much harder. For the reasons I've outlined, we urge DSNY and the Adams administration to reconsider these cuts, as they would hinder the city's ability to respond to this crisis while jeopardizing New York City's climate justice objectives. The community composting program is a cost-effective tool in the fight against rats, and we hope to partner with the New York City Council and Adams administration in these efforts. And on a personal note, as an alumni of the New York Harbor School, I'm really happy to see students here today testifying and being civically engaged.
Good morning. My name is Marissa D. Dominicus. I'm the ED and co-founder of Earth Matter, a nonprofit dedicated to composting, and we're located on Governor's Island. I'd like to thank the Commissioner for her work in the commercial containerization and the new residential set-out trash time. These initiatives have assisted New Yorkers in reducing the amount of rats feasting off of what's in the black bags. But this committee is well aware, however, that there's 3.9 million tons of food scraps that are going into the landfill each year. 34% in the black bags or containers could be composted. There's a very small percentage of the food scraps that's currently captured through the composting program. While I agree with the Commissioner stated a full participation of New Yorkers are needed to solve the city's rat epidemic, teaching New Yorkers the why and the how of successfully taking away food scraps from the black bags for decades has happened through the New York City composting that is done by many of the people that are the community composters, organizations, residents that have been paving the way for this to become a municipal service and a global model. The lack of validation by the Commissioner through this budget cut that's slated for December 31st wipes out the foundational and essential work that the organizations, it's a cut to her own goal of full participation. It's a cut in the jugular, actually, in order to arrive at what we can do to solve this together. We may want to pat ourselves on the back that composting is now a household word, but 9 out of 10 New Yorkers do not actually know what composting is, what the process is, or that New York City composting program is mostly exclusively consisting of digestation, which is not composting. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll submit my full testimony, but we're asking the Commissioner to turn a new page, adopt the tagline that DSNY is the Resource Recovery Agency, and continue to do this critical work and to send the rats packing together.
Thank you so much. I just have just 2 quick questions. I recognize there's so many people who want to testify, so I will try to hold to the 2 minutes. But how long has DSNY been funding your operations?
2012.
Yeah, same for us.
And for...
Excuse me, however, they've been hosting the compost project since 1994.
Right.
With you all?
No.
Just
the
as on their own,
Botanical
yeah.
Gardens and the Lower East Side Ecology Center.
In the lead up to this PEG announcement, were there any conversations, was there any outreach to you to say, this is coming down the pipeline, get prepared?
Not at all. I mean, we were given a month's notice that we're going to have to lay off, 20 staff. And also just to adjust our program, we have operating composting sites that we have to that have 250 yards of active compost that are going to have to be shut down in a month during holiday season without zero, with.
And for our organization, we're getting half of our staff laid off.
Exactly. Grow NYC too. Before the holidays, we're closing 52 of our sites.
half of your staffs are laid off for both of your organizations. And for, I believe Earth Matters specifically, and maybe for you, Big Reuse, the land that you operate on is public land, correct?
Yes, in fact, it's actually tied to a three-way relationship with the island, and so the island is able to execute the zero waste and doing the composting only because the Department of Sanitation's Memorandum of Understanding from 2012 stipulates that the contractor, Earth Matter, is doing all of the composting work. So the island will not be able to be impossible for the island to be able to continue their zero waste island because they don't have the fundings. They're getting pegs as well. They don't have any funding to provide for the composting on the island.
And our land is, I mean, have a couple different, we have 3 different locations. One of our location is on sort of DSNY DEP land, one is on Parks land, and then one is co-located at Red Hook Farms, which is on Parks land. So we're hoping, you know, to continue operation, but with no time or notice to like find other funding sources or set up other systems, it's going to be incredibly difficult.
And since the announcement of these cuts, what has the engagement been by the Department of Sanitation with you all as DSNY funded organizations?
We've just been focused on cutting, you know, like laying, pushing the budget out and reducing the staff, like getting, you know, laying people off.
Yeah, echoing Justin's sentiments, very, very low. Not very helpful.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate all the work you've been doing for so long to get New Yorkers ready. I do agree that this is undercutting the commissioner's own goal of getting this program online. I mean, even with the IBO report, if we don't get participation rates high enough, this is actually going to be a cost-negative program. So we want to make sure that enough people are participating where it's actually justified. And that's really only through you all doing the work you do. So thank you so much.
And just for the outreach too, like we have been really the main team, if not only team, out in the field doing that, door knocking and curbside. So they, you know, in asking them what's their plan, our team is still going out, even though they know they're losing their jobs at the end of the month. We're still at events today.
What we'd like to have is the commissioner just validate that composting is something that people can see, people can get on board on, and we need it for the infrastructure, which the city has invested in pretty significantly. So is the city now going to, with the budget deficit, buy compost to be able to take care of all the trees that it's invested in?
Yeah, the validation needs to come through the funding of the programs. So thank you all very much for your testimony.
And thank you, Councilmember Nurse and Shulman and the rest of the council for all your help in these efforts. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we will have Eric Menjivar, Eric Goldstein, excuse me, and Claire Mifflin. Eric Menjivar, you may begin. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairs Nurse and Shulman and members of this committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Eric Menjivar, and I'm a proud member of the bargaining committee for the Grow NYC Workers Collective. I work as a compost coordinator and green market manager for Grow NYC. And together with our partners at the New York City Compost Project, we serve millions of New Yorkers throughout the 5 boroughs, providing food scrap collections, organics processing, compost outreach, education access, and finished compost. Community compost was fully funded by the city and the mayor in the last budget, and defunding it is basically a violation of our contract and also a violation of the public trust and also the trust with us as employees. Because of this, 115 environmental jobs are at risk of being lost. 53 of those have been strengthened in the last year due to our unionization efforts, and that is also being placed at risk as well. Community composting is among the best tools that we got when it comes to rat mitigation. Food waste sitting out in the street in plastic bags has always been the ever-present factor when it comes to rat infestations. Our current rollout of curbside composting and smart bins, besides not being environmentally sound, is deeply flawed. I work at the Green Market at Forest Hills every single Sunday, and I can tell you from experience of what people tell me, it's a sense of frustration and disappointment in how the city is doing its composting through curbside and smart bins. They see community composting as their only option. And compared to the comments that we've heard earlier in the hearing when it came to DSNY, this is an issue that is important to overthink about, to basically put a lot of thought into where the food scraps are going. Constituents see that as a necessity when it comes to placing their trust in compost. So I call on all of you to vote no on these budget cuts, and if this nefarious plan to remove community composting is successful, then I ask you to basically restore that funding for fiscal year 2024 and also to ensure the existence of the program within legislation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Nurse and Chair Schulman. Eric Goldstein from the Natural Resources Defense Council. As you know, rats are a public health challenge and a real problem for New York City. I'm going to summarize my written testimony. To its credit, the administration has taken steps to reduce the rodent invasion, and one important initiative has been the set of rules that the Sanitation Department has promulgated in the demonstration projects they've launched on containerization. It's hard to determine how much progress is actually being made because we need better measurements, as Councilman Botcher said. What gets measured gets done. Data from 311 suggests that some progress has been made on a month-to-month basis compared to last year, but even if you assume that that data is correct, looking back over 10 years, the amount of rat complaints in the 311 database has more than doubled. So we've got a lot of work to do. My personal observation on the Upper West Side, where I've lived for more than 30 years, seems to confirm that containerization may be helping, at least in our neighborhood. Many, but not all of the restaurants in our neighborhood have begun using rodent-proof containers in recent months. And we do seem to observe fewer rats at these locations. But as we all know, the problem has hardly been solved, and more intensive and exceptional efforts are necessary. Just last night, I was walking home from the subway, and a man walking behind me yelled, "Did you see that?" I said, "No, what?" He said, "A rat just jumped out from under that car." "We have them," I said. He said, "I just moved here to the city. That was a big one." He said, "Welcome to New York," I said. A couple of blocks away, and this is true, both of these things happened last night. As I was passing the 20th Precinct Police House on 82nd Street, I noticed a big pile of plastic bags of trash right outside the precinct house. And sure enough, a rat scurried right by the pile. As Councilmember Hudson noted, the war on rats is not yet over. We have three suggestions. First, DSNY and DOH must be given the resources they need to enforce and fully implement the new containerization requirements in every neighborhood throughout the city, especially in places like NYCHA properties. The problems of rats are not equally distributed in this city. On the Upper West Side, I've observed restaurants and other commercial establishments that now have trash containers, but not enough of them. So these establishments either have piles of food waste or refuse in plastic bags right next to the containers, or they overfill the containers, leaving the lids open and defeating the rodent-proof purpose of those containers. So we need stronger enforcement. Second, we recommend the council, DSNY, and DOH take steps to ensure that all buildings under ownership or control of New York City comply or come into compliance with city sanitation and health department rules and laws, including containerization. We've observed significant rat populations, as Councilmember Hudson noted, outside police precincts, and we know that NYCHA properties over the years have been have had a disgraceful level of rat invasions. Finally, the administration must act more broadly upon its understanding of the link between available food sources and rat populations. That means providing rodent-proof bins for organics collection to all households in all 5 boroughs. It means much more extensive education and outreach on citywide composting, and most urgently, it means restoring $3 billion in fiscal funds this year for community composting. Community composters are the necessary citizen education, participation, and compliance arm needed to make the curbside organics collection program succeed. The department should recognize that these nonprofits organizations are valuable partners and resources and should find a way to work with them and deploy them throughout the community, not only on the residential side, but to educate restaurants and businesses and assist them. The city will never solve the rat problem without a successful composting program. And the city will never have a successful curbside composting program if it ends up destroying its community composting partners. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. My name's Claire Mifflin. I'm Executive Director of the Center for Zero Waste Design. And since 2017, when we released the Zero Waste Design Guidelines, looking at how you could better design buildings in the city to get to zero waste, we have been calling on the city to containerize its waste and to collect all organic waste. So we're very happy that they're doing that, but we have so many ideas for how they could do it more affordably and in a way that would bring so many more benefits to the city. Seems like the Future of Trash report just looked at the piles of bags on the street and said, how can we put them in containers instead? They didn't look at how can we improve the whole system, how can we do this in the most cost-effective way, and how can we make sure that the biggest piles of trash, that's 23% of the residential waste, they said couldn't be done from the big buildings because their only solution is permanent bins on the street. They think those 400-unit building supers are going to bring bags up and put them in side-load containers and take up half the block. That's just a stupid idea when you could actually just have the chutes go into wheeled bins, stage them temporarily in the parking lane, different waste type every day, and then use that for deliveries at other times of day. That is much more affordable, much less impact on our public space, and they could tie it into Save As You Throw, because we need those kind of incentives for containerization to tie into waste reduction goals. Similarly, our commercial strips. We have people in walk-ups that bring their bags of trash straight to the street. They have no shed bins. There's commercial on the ground floor. We already have those commercial businesses having to put bins on the sidewalk, chained to the storm drains. Now they want the walk-ups above to have bins. Our commercial walk-up streets are going to be lined with like 9 bins in front of every storefront. That makes no sense. And then organics. Oh my God, I'm still already done in time. Organics, we've spent $1 billion on rain gardens, and we want to increase our street trees. We need compost to maintain those. And the way to get it is the good quality community scale. Composting gives us good quality compost. If we can spend $1 billion doing rain gardens, shouldn't we be able to spend a few million every year to make sure we have the compost to maintain them? And if we want to cut funds, what about the 37% of the city streets that are 1 to 2 family blocks? Many of them in Brooklyn and Queens. They get 2 or 3 times trash pickup a week. My block is 2 families. It has 10 trucks come down it each week. It's 1 lane. It has a different truck for each side of the street. We can cut those trash trucks, especially if they're getting organics, and that could save the necessary money and more to save community composting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Gave a little extra time because you all come testify all the time.
Thank you.
And we consider Erica an honorary member of the committee. But thank you so much for your testimony today.
Thank you for your leadership, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we'll have Jesse McLaughlin, Andrew Winfrey, and Robert Markuski.
Hi there. Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairperson Nurse and Chairperson Schulman, for hearing my testimony today. My name is Jesse McLaughlin, and I'm a representative of New York City Audubon, an organization that works for the protection of wild birds and habitat in the 5 boroughs, improving quality of life for all New Yorkers. Today, I'm testifying about the dangerous use of rodenticides, which harms both birds and people. Birds are often New Yorkers' first connection with nature, and New York City is surprisingly a birding hotspot. More than 300 species of birds pass through, nest, or reside here in our city. Birds are also a critical part of a healthy, functioning ecosystem, and that is especially true for birds of prey like raptors and owls, and they're an important place at the top of the food chain. Our urban ecosystem supplies the sustenance that birds of prey need to survive, and that actually includes rats. However, this food source also represents one of the greatest dangers to these birds in the form of poisoning. Rodenticides, also called rat poisons, are commonly yet ineffectively used to control rodent populations. When birds of prey, like a red-tailed hawk, eats a poison rodent, they become poisoned themselves. Because raptors are actually at the top of the food chain and will eat many rats, toxins become more potently concentrated in the raptor through a process called biomagnification. In fact, poisons were detected in 84% of dead birds of prey found in New York City in a study conducted by the Department of Environmental Conservation. New York City Audubon applauds New York City Parks for their integrated pest management approach and observance of raptor nesting season, during which they do not bait for rodents in raptor hunting or nesting areas. But on a whole, New York City's war on rats through poisons has been unsafe. We just do not have the data to prove that poisons meaningfully reduce rat populations, but we do have data that proves rodenticides' dangerous and unconscionable effects on wild birds and people. Thank you.
My name is Robert Markowski. I'm a teacher at the New York Harbor School. I just want to say thank you to Chairman Nurse for being so accessible and honoring the youth at these events. I'm going to try to keep it really short. It seems like the Department of Sanitation in the city is taking a technocratic approach to dealing with a community problem and not relying on community experts. I'm inspired and trained by community composters to deal with food waste. I then train my students. My students are trained by community composters on Governor's Island, particularly Earth Matter. They've also interned at Big Reuse. It seems like all roads lead back to community composters in dealing with rats, food waste mitigation, and a whole host of climate change issues. Just now, while I was in this hearing, my administration texted me a question about an event this morning. I had to show it to Marissa, and then Earth Matter is bringing something over to school. So it's just the approach from the top down doesn't seem to work, and we should rely on the bottom up, which is the community composting organizations. I showed this to my students. Your testimonies are just in line with what is being spoken early on in your opening, Chairman Nurse. So I hope that the folks are, as they said they would, be virtually listening to the youth, because they'll speak very eloquently on this issue. One last thing, waste has to be picked up. Money's going to be needed to pick that up. I just don't see why it would be taken out of the hands of the people that are already doing that work, rather than reinvent the wheel or rely on some technocratic method that hasn't been proven to be successful yet. So that's all I have. And that's the real revolution, right? Is to start from the bottom up. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. And thanks for bringing your students today. We're looking forward to hearing from all of them. I guess we're going to start calling them up.
Yes. The next panel will be Cristiano Cornell, Connor Perry, and Haley Hernandez.
Hey guys, how's it going? I am Cristiano Cornell, a student in the New York Harbor School's Marine Affairs and Policy Advocacy program. I've worked with earth matter and have been trained in composting. I've also managed and processed organic matter and compost for my school. I'm looking forward to working an internship with earth matter over the spring. The mayor's proposed budget cuts, however, threaten not only the zero waste goal of earth matter, but also my internship experience. If earth matter gets downsized, not only will me and other students be denied a similar and fulfilling internship experience, but the uncertainty of their ability to manage waste is a serious concern for our school. I can personally advocate for community composting because I've seen firsthand the benefits of it. Composting, along with its many other benefits, is one of the best tools to implement for rat mitigation. The process is easier said than done, but it's pretty simple. Having a way to sustainably get rid of food scraps will get rid of rats. If there's less food in our trash and on our streets, there's less rats on our streets. However, while composting is a great tool to help mitigate rats, that isn't its only purpose. Composting can help reduce landfill sizes by diverting food waste into compost instead of into a landfill site and pollute. Once turned into compost, it can enrich soil and reduce runoff. Creating compost comes with amazing benefits, but in order to do that, it actually has to be turned into compost and not into an engineered bioslurry. While this bioslurry does provide energy, it completely gets rid of the benefits of composting and creates methane along with it. The bioslurry also has to be transported by truck, meaning that it has the potential to leak and cause serious health and safety concerns. And not to mention, we don't need more cars on the road. If the city is going to collect food scraps, they should put them to good use. It doesn't matter if citywide composting is even there, however, if people don't know how to use it. If people don't know how to use the smart bins, people will either not use them or use them incorrectly. Community composting programs can help educate people on how to use these smart bins, and if the food waste actually gets turned into compost, we can look forward to a more sustainable future for the city. If the mayor's proposed budget cuts go through and community composting is cut, our food scraps will go to waste and the rat problem will only continue to grow. Please don't cut funding. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Connor Perry, and I'm a senior in the Marine Affairs Policy and Advocacy Program at the New York Harbor School on Governor's Island. As a part of the Marine Policy CTE, I do a lot of composting with the help of other organizations such as Earth Matter and Grow NYC. These organizations work very closely with several communities, helping to educate citizens on the benefits of composting, as well as helping citizens become more involved in their communities. Through their efforts in composting, they also help fight the rat problem facing our city. However, these organizations are at risk of being seriously downsized by budget cuts. With the help of these organizations, we hope to achieve zero waste at Harbor School. While it might seem that composting is non-crucial, it doesn't need to be kept in the budget. That's simply not the case. It diverts over 8 million pounds of organic waste from landfills each year, along with being the most sustainable and equitable form of waste management. However, one of the main and most crucial problems composting helps solve is our rat problem. The whole concept of composting is that any food waste gets turned into soil, which can then be used to plant trees and crops. So if composting is taken out of the budget, people across the city won't be able to sort their food waste. And with all this extra food waste, the number of rats in the city will increase drastically, being attracted to all the thrown out food. I hope that you take my testimony along with the rest of my peers into consideration. Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Council members. My name is Haley Hernandez, a Marine Affairs Policy and Advocacy Senior from New York Harbor High School. I've come to voice the crisis of New Yorkers' community composting and fundamental process in New York Harbor Schools High School. Research and education for students. As a student of Marine Affairs Policy and Advocacy, I've understood that composting is a solution not only for rats, but creating an alternative version of the American dream. One may say a sustainable dream. Alternations that interfere with essential tools and methods will deplete the education and opportunities of our Harbor School students that seize. These essential tools are provided by Earth Matter and all sustainable companies that give opportunities and education to students across New York City. Unfortunately, the budget cuts would drastically set back the education and not only Harbor High School, but the education of composting throughout all of New York City. While studying a diverse career in technology education, also known as a CTE, I began to understand with the help of Earth Matter that When properly sorting compost, New Yorkers can eradicate the unsanitary beast of the city. In addition, it will create a sustainable reality for us and future New Yorkers. When conducting our own process of composting and sorting, we never saw rats, even with production being outside in the garden. When budget cuts close to more than 75% of access to dispose of compost, this may cause a greater rat infestation. With all that being said, I'll continue to voice and advocate for the crisis of New Yorkers' community composting, a fundamental process in New York Harbor High School's research and education for current and future generations. Thank you, everyone, for your time and consideration.
Thank you all very much. Really appreciate it. I want to acknowledge that we've been joined by Councilmember Joseph.
Thank you all. Next, we will have Summer Stevenson, Mia Velez, and Stephen Matthew. Okay, Summer, you may begin.
Hi, my name is Summer Stevenson, and as a New York City resident and New York Harbor School senior, I am concerned for the future of our compost. Rats thrive in large cities because lots of trash and litter. New York is the second most rat-infested city in the world out of over 10,000 cities. By diverting and sorting food waste, we are also decreasing the amount of rats we have on our streets. Budget cuts will not only affect composting, it'll eliminate education initiatives, internships, and community programs. Community composting projects alone have helped to divert over 8.3 million pounds of organic waste from landfills. Earth Matter has been a key resource to our career and technical education course, Marine Affairs Policy and Advocacy. Earth Matter has helped us to expand our thinking and model what a community compost site should look like. We use this feedback to improve our urban farm and reflect what they do on a smaller scale. If the amount of pounds in food waste that we have is too large for us to compost at school, we send it over to Earth Matter, since they are capable of processing on a larger scale than we do. There will no longer be as many public outreach initiatives for Earth Matter employees and interns, meaning less people will become aware of composting as a whole when it's already not as mainstream as it should be. In my neighborhood, there are so many community compost centers and composting opportunities that I had no knowledge of. Composting not only helps reduce food waste, but it helps mitigate the rodent crisis. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon. My name is Mia Velez, and I'm a concerned resident of the Urban Assembly New York Harbor School. I am reaching out today to express my deep concern about Mayor Adams' decision to eliminate funding for community composting in New York City. I started getting involved in community composting at my career technical education program at the Harbor School. In my career technical education program, Marine Affairs, Policy and Advocacy, we do all sorts of sustainability and most importantly, composting. Through my school, I have worked internships with one of its partners, Earth Matter. During my 3 different internships, I have learned the importance of composting and why it should be spread more throughout the city. Not only have I learned the importance of composting, but I was also able to educate visitors of the facility on composting because how in-depth they saw me on composting. Without city-funded composting facilities, a lot of people wouldn't be educated on the importance of composting and why it's so helpful to our city. If the budget is cut for composting, it will have a throwback to the cleanliness of the city. Many volunteers, corporations, and even council members are educated by Earth Matter. Since they are educated, they can spread the information they learned and take it back to their communities. The evolution of composting has improved since COVID when it was shut down, and if it's shut down again, it will go back down. When we didn't have our food scrap drop-off sites, there was much more food waste, which led to more garbage being thrown out. Some people say that composting brings rats, but it's not the truth. The bigger issue is the garbage bags being filled full of food left on the curb where the rats can have a feast. When the rats know there is a consistent food source, they stay in the area and start building their families, which turns into a cycle. Cutting community composting will be very bad for the environment and city. Many problems will arise without the composting efforts being run by the communities and the city funding composting facilities. Thank you for your time.
Hey, I'm Stephen Allen, and I'm part of the Marine Affairs Policy Advocacy Program. So, I'll be honest, one of my favorite animals are rats, but they are not good to they are not good to have in our city. Many animals like rats spread diseases, contaminate our food supply, and enter homes. Rats also probably shouldn't be around us either, to be honest. One way to solve this problem is to practice composting. It's a healthy and sustainable way to manage our food scraps that'll benefit us and any rodents around. It creates less food and trash for rats to feed on and find spaces to sleep in. Not only will removing rats protect us from diseases, it will protect the rats as well. Rats get sick the same way we do. You know, they get all over the city, get in the trash, and that's how they get these sicknesses. So, composting also isn't even just a solution for the rats. It's a benefit for the whole environment. Nobody really wants to see just a bunch of garbage everywhere, like food and everything. We could compost that so it actually has a use instead of just being garbage. So rats, like I mentioned, they like to find places to stay. There should be a way where we can have our trash contained in something so they have no access to getting in these areas, and they could find other places to live. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Chair Joseph has a question, and she was a teacher for a long time, so I hope you're prepared to answer.
Okay.
Thank you. First of all, let me say congratulations on your advocacy. Started advocacy at 19, so you are in the right time and the right moment. So thank you for bringing your voice here and uplifting New York City students. My question to you is, as a student, how do you hope the mayor and the city administration will respond to the concern raised about the impact of budget cuts on community composting?
I just hope they don't, try to stop the composting from happening. It's very important for our community. Like I said, not just a solution for rats, it's a solution for the environment itself. We could use compost for soil and stuff instead of just leaving all the food all over the city and attracting animals that could spread diseases around to others, invade homes, and yeah.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I hope the mayor and everybody else's response to our voices is just trying to really hear us out and see how the budget cuts are not only affecting the people higher up, the Department of Sanitation, and it's gonna affect our city as a whole, not just us as students, because with the more trash and food waste on the streets, the more rats are gonna come. And I hope if they do decide to cut our budgets and stuff, that they really see the effects that's gonna happen with the rats and stuff, because nobody wants a whole bunch of rats running around, because I know I don't personally.
Neither do I.
And yeah, so it's really gonna affect a lot of the stuff that we do in school, because without the budget we won't be able to work closely with Earth Matter. And before, you're actually my council member, but before coming to the New York Harbor School, I was not aware of composting as a whole. I didn't know what it was, I didn't know how to do it. But now after being in the school, we really see it being put to use, because we use it every day in our garden and stuff, and we process our own compost from our school. But Earth Matter also helps us, because sometimes we can't process everything that we're given. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's why we're here to have this very important conversation about how we sustain the funding to make sure that you continue doing what you do and bringing the resources to the communities. Again, I can't commend you enough. Thank you, chairs. This means a lot that I see New York City kids raising their voice. Continue to advocate.
We often have the youths at our committee
Yeah,
hearings.
same here. We want you. So Monday, too. Monday, if you can't submit your testimony, we're having hearings on budgets. Come and raise your voice. And if you can't come in person, submit your testimony online. Thank you, chairs.
Thank you, you three, and thank you to the Brooklyn Harbor School. You all are modeling excellent public testimony behavior in terms of keeping to the 2 minutes. You all are doing great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Marlena Kinlan, Ryan Trainer, and Thomas Kamitsis.
Good afternoon, council members. I am Marlena Kinlan, a student at the New York Harbor School studying in marine advocacy and policy. One thing I have learned in the time I spent studying in this program is to identify and resolve the factors of an issue in order to resolve the issue as a whole. In relation, this city's issue is the increase in rats taking over our streets. However, the biggest factor is the issue of this issue is created by humans. The lack of sorted food scraps that end up in trash bags on sidewalks are fueling this population of rats. So why is the funding for community compost centers being cut? These community compost centers actively educate people on food sorting and get rid of food left on streets for rats to feed on. The main focus of these centers is to take food scraps off of the streets and out of people's homes and make it into a sustainable resource for crop growth, essentially creating a cycle which yields benefits citywide. To add on, while these community compost centers benefit the city systems, they also provide necessary education for the youth on the basics of composting. Without the education we currently have around composting, the city of New York would not be as developed as it has become. And by getting rid of this resource, you are depleting the youth from learning and experiencing the importance of composting, essentially setting them up to destroy what has been built over decades. Not only is getting rid of these resources creating further damage, but it fuels a bigger problem as well. Without these community compost centers, the only resources left are the landfills and commercial composting sites. These locations use compost to make methane, which when released into the atmosphere becomes CO2, a greenhouse gas. For years, the people of New York City have preached upon regulating pollution and finding sustainable ways to clean up our home. Yet the actions made by the very same people is what's bringing these rats to our city and poisoning our air. So truly, the best solution is not to take away the city's community compost centers, but to support them in the work that they do. Thank you for your time.
Dear committee, New York City is a food heaven, not just for us. Dear committee, New York City is a food heaven, not just for us, but for our rodent friends. I'm Ryan Trainer. I'm with the Marine Policy and Advocacy Program, an Earth Matter partner, and a student attending the New York Harbor School, all located on Governor's Island. First off, I want to thank the committee and Chairman Nurse for hearing us out today. Earth Matter is a key component to our mission to bring zero waste to Governor's Island. Without it, this greatly affects our ability to make our schools zero waste. This might not seem like a very serious issue, but if Mayor Adams wants to win his feud against rats, he should really look deeper into composting that he is cutting from his budget. The reason why rats are dining out 5 stars on the sidewalk is because of the way people dispose of their trash. The food waste smell coming from the bags attracts the rats. A few ways we can minimize food waste in half the rat population in New York is to turn all the food waste into compost. For example, when food waste is turned into compost, it discourages the rats. Compost doesn't give off the same scent that food waste does when it's just hanging around on the sidewalk. I feel the mayor and the people of New York would benefit from this. Another way people would benefit from not cutting the funding from composting would be education. If you educate people on what composting is, perhaps they will dispose of their trash differently. Not only that, but composting is also a big way of reusing. Old food waste and compostable utensils just sitting out for rats to eat can be used for parks and rich soil for plants. This would also be a lot cleaner than the alternative, which emits methane, which is harmful to us and our environment. Overall, I think if Mayor Adams wants to win his battle against rats, he can't cut the funding for community compost from the city budget. There are so many opportunities with composting for the future of this city. Education and revitalization are the main positives taken from this. Again, I want to thank the committee and Chairman Nurse for hearing us out about this new budget proposal.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Dear Sandy Nurse and members of the committee, my name is Thomas Kamitis, and I am a junior at the New York Harbor School on Governor's Island studying marine affairs, policy, and advocacy. I'm here today because my classmates and I are concerned about the proposed budget cuts that would threaten the community composting programs throughout the city. Composting is a critical part of sustainable waste management and rat mitigation. 8.3 million pounds of food and yard scraps are collected and turned into compost each year in New York City. The organic waste is used to produce nutrient-rich soil for the community parks and gardens. This process results in less waste ending up in landfills where it could produce methane. It therefore plays a key role in reducing greenhouse gases and making our environment healthier. Composting also helps decrease the number of rodents roaming our streets. The separation of waste has proven effective in mitigating the rodent population in cities. That is another reason why we shouldn't get rid of programs like Earth Matter that educate the community about composting and how to manage waste effectively. As students studying sustainability, we question how these budget cuts abide by the Zero Waste Act, which aim to divert all recyclables and organic waste from landfills and incinerators by 2030. These budget cuts would reverse important progress the city was making towards a more sustainable New York. I respectfully ask that you reconsider this decision and protect composting, community composting to be exact in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Grace Arnold, Juan Villavicencio, and Dylan Pierre.
And just when you guys are testifying, you could speak a little bit more into the mic, because there are people online and for the archive of this. And if you want to ever pull the video later and put it on your socials, whatever, you won't be able to hear yourself if you don't talk into the mic.
Hi, my name is Grace Arnold. I am a concerned resident of Staten Island, and I oppose cutting funding for community composting and education. You have made it clear that you are concerned with the rat problem in New York City, yet Mayor Adams is cutting funding for community composting and composting education, which hurts the goal of shrinking the extremely large population of rats in the city. Snug Harbor is the closest community composting site to me. I spend a lot of time in Snug Harbor, and I would hate to see these budget cuts negatively affect them. Every time I have walked past the farm, there have been bags of leaves sitting outside that they will turn into a soil amendment that they can use to produce new food. Staten Island does not have brown bins, and we only have 8 of the smart bins. So it isn't possible to compost food waste unless you have the help of a community composting organization. Food waste from Snug Harbor doesn't end up in compost. It ends up piled on the curb in garbage bags that won't fit in garbage cans. Most households in my neighborhood end up with 2 to 3 more bags of trash than their bin can hold, and rats thrive off these exposed bags. Staten Island being a fairly suburban place compared to the other boroughs means that not only rats, but various other animals also eat this food. Community composting organizations like Snug Harbor are vital to solving this problem. They already don't receive much funding, and cutting funding will hurt their ability to provide community outreach and education that gets some of that food waste off of the street and into compost. Community composting programs divert more than 8.3 million pounds of organic waste from landfills, produce virtually no pollutants, and result in soil amendment that revitalizes soil, unlike citywide composting, which produces greenhouse gases. A while ago, Mayor Adams introduced a rule that trash must not be put out on the curb before a certain time. He believes this rule helps with the rat problem, but it does not. Rats are not like people. They don't work jobs, and they don't have to sleep at night to go to work in the morning. They don't care when the trash goes out. They care about where. And I would much rather have rats eat food waste on a farm away from houses and apartments than from garbage bags right outside my house. Thank you.
Good evening. Often I see rats and trash too much in our boroughs, but I'll focus on Staten Island because that's where I live. Trash is seen on every corner while kids and adults are trying to get through their days the best they can. Eric Adams said he was going to bring curbside compost to the entire city by 2024. So when I heard that he was going back on his word and cutting funding from the education that can affect composting, I was confused because he was just saying these things that can help everyone in the city. What can happen to deter this from happening? You can convince Mayor Eric Adams to not cut funding from New York City compost educators like the people from Earth Matter and organizations similar to it, because he struggles to see the connection between community composting and rats in the city. Community composters educate people on how to use food scraps to make soil, making foods more scarce for the rats who depend on it. So by cutting funds from the community composters, the rat problem will not go away and possibly get worse over time. By the end of 2024, every New York City resident will have access to clean, convenient curbside compost from the Department of Sanitation. A quote from Eric Adams from the official website of the City of New York. If he really wants this, then why is he proposing to go back on this by cutting funds? Because if it does get cut, then more than 8 million pounds of organic waste will be fed to rats annually, and over 6,000 New Yorkers will not get educated on community composting. So if Mayor Eric Adams doesn't want to do all the composting, then the composters will. Thank you for listening to the testimony.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dylan Pierre from the New York Harbor School. Community composters are important and want to help the rat problem instead of just throwing money at the rat problem. Over 8.3 million pounds of organic waste is turned into compost and part of us at New York Harbor School and Grow NYC and Earth Matter. To rescue and to reassure the composting activity will the addition of composting, we now have a new, more advanced solution to get rid of rats. Working with community composter groups like Earth Matter to learn how to sort compost and soil amendment. My generation is now left with the hard work like advocating for rat sighting data and the composting cut. We all work hard at the New York Harbor School and our partners at Earth Matter. And all the work seemed unnoticed. And now, due to the budget cuts, our school is getting affected. My school is actively working with Earth Matter to teach our career technological program on how to compost. If us as New Yorkers can partner with schools and with people like Earth Matter or someone like Earth Matter on a bigger scale, we can get rid of rats instead of cutting budgets and getting rid of things that we need. Empowering New Yorkers to make composting local gives, including climate change. At my school, we are all about composting, responsibility, and food sorting. Food scraps are turned into useful compost that makes NYC green. So in conclusion, we as New Yorkers have to work together and go about this problem in a green way instead of, with the help of community composters. Thank you for listening to my testimony.
Thank you. Next we'll have Courtney Matias, Jaylene Garita, and Shorty Lajki.
If it's light red?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. If rats are becoming a problem in New York, shouldn't we all take responsibility for teaching the upcoming generations how to sort waste streams properly? The rats don't run this city, the youth will. When the budget for community composting gets cut, the only place we would be able to place our food scraps is in a smart bin or a brown bin. The big issue about this is people not knowing how to use the brown bins and smart bins, thus adding food sources for rats. At New York Harbor School on Governor's Island in Marine Affairs, we work with Earth Matter, located on the island, to help compost food scraps we get from the cafeteria. Earth Matter teaches our career technical education program critical skills on composting, such as sorting the waste and learning how to turn that waste into soil amendment to later on use on our school farm to grow food. My father is a superintendent at 6 buildings in Brooklyn, and he states that the brown bins are nasty due to people not knowing how to use them correctly, leading to flies, maggots, and most importantly, rats. In Marine Affairs, we are taught how to use, operate, and understand all the important factors of composting, but not everyone has the privilege to learn about this too, which is why we should implement more teaching about composting in New York City schools through community compost programs like we do with Earth Matter. I believe implementing more community composting programs in schools citywide and teaching the upcoming generations more about composting would make people understand the brown bins and smart bins. The main issue is people not knowing how to work or use the bins, but with teaching them, we could offer them more learning, which eventually, as they learn and implement it more, they would be used correctly. And rats will have no food source and the population will die down. Last year, we diverted 10,000 pounds of food waste. That's 10,000 pounds of food that the rats could have eaten, but thanks to our career technical education program implementing Earth Matter work into our school schedules, we can easily avoid the rats eating our food waste and terrorizing our city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And just please say your name when you start so we can note it for the record. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, council members. I'm Jaylene Garita. I am in Marine Affairs program, and this is my testimony. If Eric Adams wants to avoid rats in New York City, why isn't he doing anything to avoid it, like community composting? I'm involved with community composting because I am trained in a community composting site called Earth Matter. Earth Matter is an organization that is being threatened by the budget cuts, and this affects my program because we do composting with them and process food scraps with them. These programs are unique because brown bins and smart bins are not used correctly, which results in waste on the curb that attracts rats. We need education to teach citizens how to participate in citywide composting without attracting pests. I believe that Earth Matter shouldn't get their budget cut because they do community composting and outreach and education for our youth. Earth Matter has benefited me and my program by composting and teaching us how to beneficial composting is to the city. Thank you for your time.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Courtney Mathias, one of the students at New York Harbor School and a student of Marine Affairs. Because of the funding getting cut, we can't learn any more about composting. Earth Matter is just one of the organizations that are having their funds cut. Without us learning about proper composting and sorting, how are we going to solve the rat problem if we can't manage our food scraps properly? With food scraps lying around New York, that is the perfect breeding ground for rats, especially when they can get easy food. I've seen many piles of food waste around the Lower East Side, and I've even seen rats carrying full slices of pizza. If this situation doesn't get fixed, rats will begin to overpopulate in areas where people don't accurately remove their food waste. I, for one, live in an apartment. While no rats have gotten in yet, if they keep on overpopulating and running around the city, eventually we will have rat problems. We've already seen them running around outside of the apartment, but one day I'm scared I'll find one in my house or even worse, in my walls. A lot of other people already have rat problems, but this will make everything a lot worse. By cutting community composting funds, there will likely be no more actual physical composting. The rat problem that everyone's so worried about will get worse. Community composting helps reduce the food scraps that people leave lying around New York. The brown bins don't help with composting either because people don't know how to properly use them. Regardless, some people just throw things in there that don't belong, and not every area has the privilege of said brown bins. And in some buildings, there are no trash cans at all, like mine. All our garbage goes to the front of the building because there's nowhere else to sort our trash. The cuts affect a lot of people's information on this topic and will cause a lot of issues with people being uninformed and not being able to do the right thing. A lot of people don't even have access to trash bins nor brown bins outside of their homes. If everybody wants to do the right thing, but nobody's willing to take that step but community composters, why cut these funds? Thank you for listening.
Thanks for your testimony.
Thank you. Next, we will have Lena Lashki, Layla Bursor, and Stevie Maisonet.
Hello, my name is Lena, and it's no surprise that rats have inhabited New York City and lived among us for years. Rat mitigation initiatives have been put into place and failed various times. One of the successful rat mitigation initiatives is actually community composting. I'm a senior in the Marine Affairs course at the New York Harbor School, and I have first-hand experience with composting. I have seen the change that compost brings both at school and my Brooklyn Heights community. Both of these places have serious rat activity. Rats find food and trash and are able to chew through thin plastic to get to the food. If the food was simply sorted into another bin, rats wouldn't have easy access and fail to find a food source. However, it's not that easy. Information does not spread without a reliable source. Mayor Adams has made it clear that rats do not have a place in New York City. But with the recent budget cut to eliminate funding for community composting programs in New York City, I'm not sure if he's working with us or the rats. Every home produces organic waste, but the issue is that brown bins are introduced and the city gives no further direction. Nonprofit organizations like Big Reuse, where I've interned in clothing for over a year, educate neighborhoods on composting. According to Big Reuse, over 60,000 New Yorkers were engaged at community events showing interest in community composting. By educating New Yorkers on where their food should go, rats have a smaller chance of thriving from our leftovers. In my personal experience, brown bins aren't used the way they are meant to be used, and New Yorkers aren't confident in their use of brown bins. This issue can only be solved with community compost outreach. Without the community composting programs like Big Reuse, Earth Matter, and BK Rot, and more, residents are left to figure composting out on their own, which means that more organic waste will find its way into black trash bags ready for the rats to feast on, and the city should be afraid for this rat takeover.
Hi, I'm Layla Bursor. I'm a junior at the Harbor School, and I'm the vice president of our FFA and S4CA chapters. I believe that funding for community composting should not be cut. If you want to effectively solve a problem, it is important to start at the source. The source of our constantly growing rat populations is an overabundance of waste, specifically food waste, that provides rats with as much food as they could ever need. Correctly separating food waste is an effective way to reduce rat populations, along with contributing many other positive effects. Community composting makes this possible through compost education, teaching people how to correctly sort their waste. Brown and orange bins alone are not a solution. Just a few years ago, I would have never considered composting to be something that I could participate in at home. I had heard of composting, and I always put my food scraps at school in the orange bin in our cafeteria, but I never knew what happened to the food scraps or why it was so important. It wasn't until I went to Earth Matter that this changed. They explained every step of the composting process, from sorting the waste to spreading the finished product into their urban farm. I learned that animals can be used for composting and got to interact with chickens and goats. I learned that when organic waste is put in landfills, it breaks down without oxygen. It creates methane. I learned that you can compost in your own backyard. But as someone who doesn't have a backyard, the most important thing I learned is that the city collects food scraps from residential buildings and smart bins throughout the city. Community composting is an essential way for people to learn about separating organic waste. In 2022, Earth Matter alone had 15,000 volunteers and visitors. I'm just one of the many thousands of people who learned about composting and started separating food waste because of community compost centers. If funding is cut from community composting, they will not be able to do outreach and education, slowing the growth of composting and cutting off people's access to compost education. We should instead raise the budget for compost education, using community composting to make the orange and brown bins more effective. Many city officials, including Mayor Eric Adams, have discussed using composting to control rat populations. While increasing access to composting is important, orange and brown bins alone have no use. The public needs to understand the how and why behind composting if it is going to be effective. We need community composting. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Stevie Masonette, and I am an 11th grade student in the MAPA program at New York Harbor School, led by Robert Markuski. What Mayor Adams has proposed is absurd. I'm sure that's why you have considered hearing multiple testimonies today.
At school, we directly work with community compost centers such as Earth Matter and Grow NYC to enhance our knowledge of compost and apply techniques to our own urban farm. During the summer, I worked under Earth Matter, and the environment was like no other. We taught people of all ages about the importance of compost, growing your own food, and much more. If this budget cut proceeds, outreach and education will be no more. Cornell University's pest management educator Matthew Fry spoke on the matter, claiming, quote, "The single most important step in eliminating urban pest populations is to remove the food source," end quote, in regards to curbside pickup. However, citizens don't know anything about food scraps, compost, and its management to understand how curbside pickup works and what it does. Curbside pickup markets itself as compost, which is the finished product of decomposed organic waste, yet it isn't. It's converting food scraps into greenhouse gases, harming both our environment and economy, and projects itself as something people should do without explaining why and how to do it, while also bringing rats into the mixture. Citizens like myself, someone that lives in a low-income neighborhood, do not have access to these resources. Not only will this continue to draw rats in, but will make it harder to keep food scraps out. Education isn't discussed regarding this matter at all. In fact, I didn't even know what compost was, nor did I care until I met my educator, and he introduced me to those at Earth Matter. The solution isn't holding residents responsible for something they don't understand. It's giving them the education they need to help them by the people who know it best, community composting centers. Their funds shouldn't be cut. If anything, they should be widely expanded. In my personal experience, since working directly with compost, our school and island rat issue has dissipated. Rats are known for hiding in dirty open spaces with leftover food. Our urban farm doesn't give them the chance to do any of that because we turn our food scraps into something we can reuse that rats don't recognize or like. The only reason we are able to do so is because we have access to the much-needed education not all residents have or will continue to have if this budget takes effect. In summary, curbside pickup and cutting funds to the community compost centers will allow the issue to rise, not end. We cannot expect people to regulate what they don't understand, and if we have the tools to allow citizens to educate themselves, why diminish them? Once people know the stakes of composting, they will apply it into their daily lives. That will get rid of the rat issue, not curbside pickup nor brown bins. Thank you for your time and consideration with my testimony. I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. You're becoming an experienced testifier and pushing the clock. But Councilmember, no, you're good. Councilmember Joseph has a question for you.
Hi, over here. Hi. My question is, how might the proposed budget cuts impact the educational aspect of the community composting, especially in schools and educational institutions?
Personally, in my experience at working at Earth Matter, we educated like all ranges of kids to senior citizens about composting, and we got them to be engaged with it by using like food to kind of help, I guess, have a more personal experience with them because everybody likes food. And as far as my own education, this isn't going to help at all because our food scraps, we don't have enough tools to regulate and convert all those food scraps into compost. So we definitely need community composting centers like Earth Matter and Grow NYC to help us out with that.
No?
I was gonna say, like, I agree with everything Steve was saying, and also it's kind of like on a bigger scale too, like drop off and pick up locations. So people who are interested in composting and they want to drop off or pick up, they know that their food scraps are being turned into actual compost, whereas the brown bins that superintendents have to place in their buildings or landlords have to place in their buildings too, like those get turned into harmful chemicals, or those that gets burned. So no matter, even if it's like a school setting or a pickup or drop off location, you still get to learn. There's a learning experience hidden in all of this.
I also just want to like quickly add that I live in public housing in the Lower East Side in a very low income neighborhood. We don't have trash cans. We don't have brown bins. It says on the app that we have smart bins and we don't. All of our trash is dumped in the street. Cars run over it. Rats eat it. We have roaches everywhere. So if smart bins and brown bins do get implemented, not only will it be creating a false narrative in the sense that it will say that it's compost when it's not, but also places like where I live won't have access to it at all. And if we do, it'll be very minimal, and most people aren't going to want to travel that far to dump off their food scraps.
I agree. Thank you so much for sharing. I love the jackets, by the way. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
The jackets.
Yeah, and I just wanted to also mention, we did have a hearing on sanitation at NYCHA, and they're supposed to be developing plans for how to have...
That's what they say, but...
what they say.
It's not really...
No, I know, but I'm just saying they're supposed to roll it out, and the smart bins, they're not allowed to put inside the campuses. They can put 50 feet from a development. So I know we have a lot of work to do on that, and that's why I had to kind of check the Department of Sanitation when they tried to present that they have provided so much access, because we know that most of those folks are not tapped into what's, this kind of situation. So we appreciate you bringing that extra angle here.
Thank you.
Thank you all for testifying.
Thank you. Our last panel for in-person testimony will be Madison Matias, Anita Chan, and Christopher Leon Johnson. Is Madison Matias here? Okay. Okay. Is Anita Chan available? No.
Well, when the other person comes back, we can do it, but we can transition.
Yeah, we'll transition and then come back to Madison. We'll transition now to Zoom testimony. Again, please limit your testimony to. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not. Okay, you may approach the dais to testify. I apologize.
Check. Okay. Hi, thank you. My name is Roy Arezzo. I'm the founding science teacher of New York Harbor School, a community gardener, native Brooklynite, and I fortunately got funding from Department of Sanitation in the 90s to start a compost program in Project Roots Community Garden with IS 318, and I helped start the compost project at the Harbor School in 2010. I was the former sustainability coordinator. I'm not going to talk about education. I'm not going to talk about rats. And I'm not going to talk about the fine words these guys already said, how important compost is. All I need to say is that I'm a little confused about the money. So I would love to hear back. I would like everyone to advocate to make more transparent how cutting the compost will save the city money. When we know the organic waste is the heaviest, most abundant part of the waste stream, we know there's no landfills in New York City. It has to be trucked out. We need to pay tipping fees, which is based on weight. So how is it if we're cutting compost, we're saving money? I just don't see it. And I would like to hear from the mayor and the people that know this stuff, because it's not transparent online. Not all those places not all those costs appear in one place. Rob looked it up last night. We did not see tipping fees listed. So let's follow the money and let's prove, instead of just justifying that this is important, that it's actually going to save money. And let's follow the money and make sure we're making good decisions financially for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, as I mentioned, the Independent Budget Office also had said that it would be a cost savings program to have community composting. So we also want to know what's going on with the money.
Yes.
So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we will begin Zoom testimony. Please limit your testimony to 2 minutes. First, we will have Rhonda Kaiser, and then Anna Sachs, and after Anna, Kathy Nazari.
Time has begun.
I'm sorry, one moment, please.
Hi, yes.
I'm sorry, one moment, Rhonda. We'll start with you in just 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Rhonda. You may begin.
Yeah. Okay, hi, thanks. Good afternoon, chairs, Nurse and Schulman, and members of the committees. My name is Rhonda Kaiser. I'm chair of the Brooklyn SWAB. My testimony today is on behalf of the 4 SWABs of Queens, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. The recent budget cuts announced by the administration will serve as a giant step backwards in any progress made around rat mitigation in New York City. DSNY's budget eliminates community composting, reduces the number of parks and vacant lot cleaning, street litter baskets and street litter cleaning in underserved neighborhoods, delays the rollout of curbside collection programs for the Staten Island and the Bronx, and completely cuts outreach and education efforts for curbside collection going forward. These cuts are a recipe for rat proliferation in our city. Over the last year, the Compost Project kept 8.3 million pounds of compostable waste out of the landfill and distributed compost to New York City parks, the botanical gardens, 325 community groups, community and school gardens, street tree care events, and thousands of individuals at no cost to the city or the users. Eliminating community composting programs and all of the community building social connection that they provide through outreach and actual compost will weaken our natural urban immune system. Moreover, the curbside organics collection participation will falter or fail without the grassroots outreach of the New York City Compost Project employees and volunteers who are passionate about composting education. Through their feet on the street, hands in the soil, person-to-person outreach, which ranges from door knocking, event organizing and tabling, and master composter certification, they steadily educate and recruit ever more volunteers who reach and teach others. Recycling rates in New York City since its inception in 1989 has never reached its modest goal of 23%. Now, as the city embarks on a new stream of source separation, residents need education and a reason to participate. Community composting's record of delivering beneficial soil amendments for the city's parks. Thank you very much. We oppose the budget cuts.
Thank you, Rhonda. Next, we will have Anna Sachs.
Can I begin?
Time has begun. Yes.
Hi, my name is Anna Sachs. I did the Master Composter program at the Lower East Side Ecology Center in 2018. The Master Composter program is also about to be completely cut in this new budget. And one of the things that I learned through it was rat mitigation. We did a full day of rat mitigation, learning all about rats, their habitats, everything. And then I have been able to take that knowledge back to my local Upper West Side community and organize block event teaching residents about the connection between composting, separating their food scraps, and rat mitigation. We are about to gut one of the most important local community-based programs that not only teaches people about environmentalism, but also teaches people about rat mitigation. This is a program that creates leaders in these waste issues, and it's really short-sighted. And as other people have said, it's penny wise and pound foolish. It also does not bode well for New York City's climate resiliency efforts. That one of the most successful programs that's been around for around 30 years is about to be gutted. It is around $6 million for this program, which is, I think, 0.2%, something like that, of New York City's overall budget. We really need to keep this program. It is a direct link between New York City communities, climate change, soil resiliency, and rat mitigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Kathy Nazari.
Time has begun.
Good afternoon, Chair, Nurse, and members of the Sanitation Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Kathy Nazari, founder of the Lights Out Coalition. We are a 50-member organization made of animal rights, environmental, and professional groups, scientists, designers, engineers, attorneys, political clubs, community leaders, and a vice president in the United Nations system. While our backgrounds may be very diverse, we all work together for a single purpose: to protect urban wildlife. This is what distinguishes us from other animal protection concerns. Glad to hear a discussion around IPM. Lights Out completely opposes rodenticides for two basic reasons. One, it is an incredibly painful and cruel way to die. Basically, rats bleed to death slowly over a period of days. And two, lethal, non-targeted, or secondary poisoning. Whether it be the wild birds and other animals who live in the parks, including feral cats eating a rat who ingested the poison, or dogs out for a walk who nibble on the bait, which is often in locations that are illegal. Last year, there were reports of several dogs on the Upper West Side who died from ingesting rat poison. These are not isolated incidents. In fact, the Merck Veterinary Manual lists rodenticides as a relatively common cause of poisoning in pets and wildlife. Additionally, the American Academy of Clinical Toxicology reported a staggering 1.5 million children under the age of 6 in the U.S. poisoned by rodenticide, with 1,630 fatalities in 2021. This data does not include the other age groups. We must employ humane mechanisms of rat population control. Putting aside for a moment the moral and ethical argument against rodenticides, as well as their toxification of soil, water, and therefore food systems, rodenticides don't work. If they did, we would not be sitting here right now. Their widespread use is costing the city millions of dollars, yet we have more rats now than ever, as someone's study indicated. When the mayor is making quality of life cuts, the city needs to redirect its limited resources.
Please wrap your remarks. We're trying to do 2 minutes for the online.
Okay, I'll be finished in a sec. The risks of using dangerous rodenticides and other lethal methods do not justify their use. Rats just breed too quickly. And I have, I'm submitting a longer version of written testimony with additional information. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next will be Ann Falcon.
Time has begun.
Hello. Hi, thank you. So my name is Ann Falcon. I'm a New York City resident committed to maintaining a sustainable urban environment. I'm testifying today about the importance of maintaining DSNY funding for community composting programs, specifically as they help rodent mitigation. I was recently visiting my friend who is a cat owner. She lives in a brownstone in Manhattan. She keeps her trash under the sink. Unlike me, I actually learned about the importance of composting from Grow NYC. Shout out to them. Basically, what happened was the cat was hanging out under the sink because there were actually rats in her house. I'm a little nervous. Basically, there were rats in her trash because she doesn't compost. She throws her organic food in with her trash, and the rats got it, and it was kind of a big mess. It ruined the rest of the day. But this is a symptom of a larger issue. As we all know, we've been talking about the problem of rodent infestation in New York City. The link between unmanaged waste, particularly food waste, and the proliferation of these pests is undeniable. Community composting initiatives like Grow NYC are already in place and have historically served as a resource to address the very root of rat infestation. They have existed for years and honed and perfected their methods of engaging and educating local communities about composting. When it comes to composting as a solution, there is no equivalent to community composting organizations from meeting New York City residents where they're at, teaching them the importance of diverting food waste from our sidewalks, and actually getting communities to participate in composting. I believe it could be a meaningful solution to New York City's rat infestation, but if that's going to happen, we need to continue to support and invest in those endeavors. I hope New York City stakeholders and Mayor Adams please recognize the pivotal role of community composting initiatives in rat mitigation and infestation and sustainable waste management practices.
Time has expired.
Thank you very much for your time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Mary Arnold.
Time has begun.
I'm Mary Arnold, co-founder of Civics United for Railroad Environmental Solutions. Communities that live with waste by rail are looking forward to the day when public participation in organic source separation eliminates the unhealthy noise, pollution, foul odors, and rats from trains hauling New York City's putrescible waste by rail. However, that day is never arriving, and the public is not going to learn to source separate organics and be influenced to participate to the fullest without the authenticity, motivation, education, outreach, and volunteerism that is provided in this city by the employees and volunteers of the 8 community composting centers, who DSNY's own testimony indicated are part of the beating heart of composting. The public is not going to source separate organics just so National Grid and Waste Management can turn them into methane, laced with sewage contaminants, flared off at Newtown Creek or in a home kitchen. The public will not be inspired to source separate organics just so the city can export more contaminated sewage sludge, including by rail. Containerizing waste in the city doesn't address this or the externalization of climate change costs from putrescible waste export, or the quality of life and health costs in communities where this waste is processed, transported, dumped, and burned. Please retain the 115 green jobs and education needed to give residents inspiration and support for their participation in cost-effective organics diversion and US EPA preferred composting. Please, care not cuts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next will be Maddie Baker.
Time has begun.
Thank you, Chair Nurse and Chair Schulman and committee members for welcoming all of us to this public hearing today. My name is Maddie Baker. I'm testifying on behalf of the Bryant Park Corporation and 34th Street Partnership. As the stewards of 2 large and distinct business improvement districts, we have found that successful rat mitigation techniques vary in different contexts. For example, at Bryant Park, we have found significant success in focusing our efforts on disrupting boroughs, developing tracking systems, and making infrastructural improvements. Much of this success is due to the time and resources we have been able to concentrate on the issue, but a lot of the success can also be attributed to the island-like nature of the park itself. At 34th Street, we have had less luck with these methods due to the more open nature of the space, dining sheds with poor upkeep outside of our bounds of influence, and other factors outside of our control. One issue that remains constant across contexts and has been spoken about a lot today is waste and waste containerization. At Bryant Park, we have invested a lot of time and resources in new containerization methods within the limitations of our pickups from DSNY. Our efforts overall have reduced rat activity in the park by 80%, but we have not been able to push this number further without containerized waste pickups. We believe DSNY can and should be able to pick up waste from 3 cubic yard wheel dumpsters at Bryant Park by the same method they use in trials elsewhere around the city. We have seen various trials of these 3 cubic yard dumpsters throughout the city in controlled locations and have admired the dumpster enclosures used in Upper Manhattan on 153rd Street between Broadway and Amsterdam. While swift efforts to containerize trash around the city have much to be admired, we understand that logistics also differ from context to context, and key stakeholders vary in their resources and capacity to comply. We believe it makes sense to try dumpster pickups in a BID such as Bryant Park, which is also controlled, but tests the system's ability to handle containerized waste from a space that is more publicly trafficked. As entities which manage large portions of the city's public waste in some of the city's most trafficked areas, BIDs and our concerns should be prioritized as key stakeholders in the fight for containerized waste and rat mitigation. It's important to account for the varying nature, waste volume, and capacity of each business improvement district as the city's new waste management protocols are rolled out. We want to thank this committee and DSNY for all they've been doing to push the city forward on this issue. We hope you see Bryant Park as a promising place to try out new waste containerization and rat mitigation methods, and look forward to partnering in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Greta Wong.
Time has begun.
Good afternoon. My name is Greta Wong, and I'm a resident of Brooklyn and volunteer with Nurture BK, which is a food scrap drop-off that is hauled by Big Reuse. So I want to speak about the profound connection between community composting efforts and pest mitigation, especially in light of these budget cuts that will completely eliminate community composting programs. So because of the deep education and outreach ethos of these community composting programs at the NYC Compost Project and Grow NYC, it is a unique and vital tool for spreading awareness about solutions to pests in our neighborhoods. So as a master composter, I've witnessed firsthand the positive effects of community composting programs They help not only with waste reduction, but also providing invaluable opportunities for New York residents to learn about responsible waste management and pest mitigation. It's really disheartening and disempowering to learn that DSNY plans to eliminate community composting programs, which also includes 115 green jobs and 50 union jobs. This really jeopardizes the education and outreach efforts that are so integral to addressing the persistent rat issues in our city and also contribute to just a cleaner, greener, and healthier environment. So throughout the Master Composter workshops, it was really emphasized that rats thrive in our city because they have an abundance of food in our garbage. And the solution is really clear, right? By separating food scraps and diverting them into compost, we can significantly reduce the materials that attract rats. However, for this solution to reach across the city, we need widespread and hands-on education about composting, such as the education that's going on with all of these composting programs, like the Master Composter course. Without them, all of those learning opportunities will completely cease to exist. So I really want to urge the council to advocate for and to press Commissioner Tisch and Mayor Adams to reinstate funding for community composting immediately, especially
Time
given
has
that
expired.
DSNY was granted protection through further budget cuts for the January tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Chelsea Nkababian.
Time has begun.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chelsea Nkababian, an Astoria, Queens resident, deeply passionate about the vitality of our city and environment. In my neighborhood, we have a plethora of organic diversion options. We are the first borough to have universal composting post-2020. We are one of the first neighborhoods to host the pilot of the smart bins, but I still participate in community composting options. Not because I am a true believer, as Joshua Goodman from DSNY has said to the Gothamist news outlet, but because my landlord doesn't provide brown bins as an option, because smart bins are overflowing or not working. So community composting is really my only option to ensure food scraps are actually composted, not just posted on an orange bin composted, and only 20% actually is. And also ensuring that my food scraps are not on the curb when, in the case it's overflown, for rats to consume. Now, today I'm here to shed light on the critical issue affecting New York City, the indispensable role of community composting, education, and outreach, and its connection to pest mitigation. The New York City Composted, funded by Department of Sanitation's community compost education programs, play a vital role in empowering New Yorkers to take actionable steps in pest mitigation by providing them with the knowledge and tools needed to understand these intricacies of composting. Through these programs, individuals learn effective waste management practices, the importance of maintaining balanced compost piles to deter pests, and the significance of proper techniques in creating an inhospitable environment for pests in our neighborhoods. With this understanding, residents become proactive participants implementing pest preventive measures in their homes, in their communities, and ultimately are the contributing factor to cleaner, healthier, and pest-resilient urban environment for all. The Department of Sanitation's plan to eliminate all community composting programs is a significant setback. It covers 4 botanical gardens and 3 nonprofit organizations, and they're not just collection sites. They're centers for learning, for communities to gather together, and moreover, to host thousands of hours of volunteer activities where we are going out into communities, beautifying spaces, applying compost to street tree beds, and sharing information about pest mitigation. Now, I implore the council, and I thank the council for all their work, but to urge Commissioner Tisch to revert this funding, this defunding, and to continue the 30-year relationship with these New York City compost projects, so that we can continue to have these zero waste goals that the mayor continues to say that he wants to do, but then defunds ultimately. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Renee.
Time has begun.
My name is Renee Pappas, and I am a resident of District 22. I would like to thank the committee members for allowing me to speak up on behalf of all New Yorkers, most specifically the 115 people who stand to lose their jobs should the mayor's budget cuts be enacted. As a master composter and community garden volunteer, I can say with certainty that our city relies on the staff of the NYC Compost Project and Grow NYC to keep our streets clean and free of rats. Most importantly, the NYC Compost Project staff and Grow NYC staff provide the education needed for New Yorkers to learn and understand how the simple act of separating their scraps can improve the health and safety of their environment. As I work through the requirements for the Master Composter program, I learned from the Big Reuses outreach team that rat mitigation is the primary motivator for New Yorkers to participate in any compost program, green bin, brown bin, orange bin. Every New Yorker has had an experience with rats, and every New Yorker is invested in learning how to do their part to keep the rats at bay. A standalone orange bin does not communicate the importance of separating food scraps in this process. We need community composters to lead the way. And to points and questions raised earlier, the NYC Compost Project is transparent. When I drop off my scraps at Socrates Park, participate in a build day at Queens Botanical Garden, or apply compost to street tree beds with Big Reuse, I know where my food scraps are going and I know what they are being used for. To put it simply, we need community composters to build New Yorkers' trust in our city's environmental efforts. As the City Council works together to avoid the worst of the mayor's budget cuts, I ask that you fight for community composting and the 115 people who make this program.
Expired.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next will be Keturah Thorpe.
Time has begun.
Hello, my name is Keturah Thorpe, and I am a constituent in, sorry, I just realized my video wasn't on. Hi, my name is Keturah Thorpe. I'm a constituent in District 45, and I'm a participant in the Master Composting Program. I'm here to testify my belief and understanding in diverting food waste via community composting as the best way to mitigate the rat problem here in New York City. Having food waste in the trash creates a buffet for rats to indulge in, as organic waste is their primary source of food. The brown bin collection and orange bins around more affluent parts of the city will help with this, but they will not be successful without the aid of community composting. Firstly, the brown bins are not being used by many buildings, mine included, even though we have one, and pickups are not happening as promised, like for my partner in Sunset Park, who's been forced to stop putting out the organics. These are new programs which are still getting off the ground. They need the support of existing, successful, and adjacent community composting. The 6 community compost sites across our city process 8.3 million pounds of food waste each year. Where is that waste going now with the loss of community composting, ill-functioning pickups, and the complete lack of smart bins south of Crown Heights in Brooklyn? Much of it will be trashed, exponentially adding to the rat problem, among many other issues. Secondly, without outreach and education, people will not know what or how to compost and will continue to throw out their food waste and not utilizing the new resources provided to them. The knowledge that I have learned through the Master Composting Program is invaluable. It's a train-the-trainer program, and in my few short months, I've been able to start informed conversations about composting at work and in my social circles, educating and empowering people to adopt composting practices in their own life. This is how knowledge and change happens, through community. In short, save community composting, invest more in the successful and thriving, sorry, I'm just gonna finish the sentence, successful and thriving already existing composting programs. Diverting organic waste from the trash is a huge step that needs to be taken to eliminate the rat issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Stephanie Gaweda.
Time has begun.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm a resident of District 38, and my partner is a participant in the Master Composter Program. I'm here to testify that one of the best ways to mitigate the rat program in New York, the rat issue in New York, is to divert food waste via community composting. So I'm a third generation born and raised Brooklynite. Generations of my family have lived in this same building since the 60s. I'm very familiar with rats and have chronic mouse issues in my home, even at this moment. So the brown bin plan was great. I was very excited to get my bin, except most landlords are not using them. For smaller buildings with less than 9 units, the $25 fines are way too small for them to care, and they've received no education on how this actually benefits anyone. For larger buildings, the fine is only $100, which still pales in comparison to the rent generated, so they don't care at all. And there's a huge misconception that the compost bins will attract more rats because there's been no advocacy in explaining how this will curb it. So for those of us that have tried composting, our pickup has been rejected multiple times, even when following all correct protocols. So it's clear that the sanitation workers themselves have not been given the resources to support this new initiative, as they've received an extra step per every household without additional labor. The amount of people on the truck have not changed, so either their hours are getting longer or they're being expected to work the same amount of collections into their shifts, and it's not getting done. So now you have compost sitting out that hasn't been picked up and it's getting ripe. Where do I bring it? Well, I could drop it off at my community composting site, unless, of course, that was also shut down due to the budget cuts. So let's look at the smart bins, except there's no smart bin within 3.1 miles from me, and it's in an area that I never pass through in my daily life. So this showcases how sanitation needs the support of existing and successful community composting. You know, processing 8.3 million pounds of food waste a year, you eliminate those programs and there's nowhere for that waste to go. So now the sanitation department clearly can't keep up. That means compost will rot out in the street or food waste increases exponentially. And now your rats are having a feast. So if we don't take the waste out of our garbage stream, this issue is not going to get any better. I can attest that over the last few months, my partner has shared invaluable knowledge through her master composting program, and knowledge is reinvested in others through channels of those that you know and trust. So, reinstate composting, invest more in diverting waste from the trash, and no more rats. The end.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Leo Kurtz.
Hi, my name is Leo Kurtz and my pronouns are they, them, and I'm a founding member of the Sunnyside and Woodside Mutual Aid Mobile Food Pantry. In 2020, volunteer-led community composting programs in my neighborhood in Sunnyside stepped up to collect food waste when the city canceled our brown bin collection and failed to prioritize measures that actually reduce rodent infestation. And I just wonder, how is it that the richest city in this country fails their responsibility to maintain an essential component of our public sanitation needs? Why are solid waste collection services deemed disposable in times of crisis when we need them most, whether it is a pandemic or budget cuts? It is these programs that actually reduce rodent infestation, cut down on plastic waste, keep organics out of landfills, and thereby cut greenhouse gas emissions, not to mention benefiting the health of our soil and communities. The city needs to give more funding to expert community composters, not take it away or redirect it to faulty brown bins and inaccessible smart bins. Without public outreach, people do not know how to use these bins or see the benefits of redirecting their food waste. These city measures cannot replace the hands-on education that neighborhood compost programs provide, nor the direct benefits that people experience in these green community spaces. Worse yet, mutual aid members in my own community stand to lose their jobs right before the holidays if this budget cut is passed. If the city wants to eliminate rats, they need to fund science-backed social good solutions to eliminate organic waste that ends up in the trash. And anyone who is involved in community composting knows that these programs do so much more than just redirect food waste. Where there are composting programs, there are community gardens, there are green spaces for people to enjoy and learn about nature, and it brings people together who are concerned for the social well-being of their neighbors. In Sunnyside and Woodside alone, we have at least three community composting programs. The Woodside Sunnyside composting. I'm sorry. The Woodside and Sunnyside composting.
The time's expiring. If you could wrap your remarks.
Okay, great. I just wanted to mention that we have several community composting programs that really beautify our community, and it's such an asset. And please do not vote to cut these funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Elizabeth Aceituno.
Time has begun.
Thank you. My name is Elizabeth Aceituno, and I'm a resident of District 26 in Queens. I'm testifying in my personal capacity today, but I'm also a board member of two community organizations, Smiling Hawks Head Ranch, which is a community garden in Long Island City, and also Big Reuse, one of the organizations whose programs are targeted to be cut. As a growing number of people are, I am acutely aware of the climate crisis we are facing. And I also know that there's very little individuals like me or us today can do without a systemic change. However, composting organic waste is one of those few things that we can all do and that actually helps significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions, not only by diverting food waste from landfills, but also by creating compost that can make the soil of city parks and gardens in our urban context healthier and more resilient. Containerizing food waste is obviously a good idea, and it's good that it's happening. But the reality is, and as others have said, is that in many neighborhoods, diverting food waste from landfills still relies on individuals taking our food waste to farmers markets or community gardens because our buildings, that's my case, don't want to provide brown bins, or also because these smart bins are too far, also my case. So I don't know what I'm going to do if this happens. And this I participate in this because of all this community education, outreach, and engagement that has been happening. For years, these organizations, which are currently at risk of losing their budget, have not only helped mitigate climate change, as I said, but they've also helped create and strengthen a large community of engaged citizens through their broad and deep engagement. And that community engagement is carried out today by 115 people whose jobs are at risk, but also are the result of what many others have done and share their knowledge. Just to end, there's 40,000 New Yorkers that have expressed concerns about those cuts in a petition. So I hope our voices can be heard by the mayor and the commissioner, and I'll send the rest of my testimony in writing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next will be Andy Holloway.
Time has begun.
Andy Holloway. Hearing no testimony from Andy, the next will be Dinesh Payakarel. Dinesh? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Community Council. Thank you to everybody who has provided testimony in person and online. We really, really appreciate you. I understand it's very challenging to limit everything to 2 minutes, but we do take your written testimony and we do read it, so thank you very much. This concludes the hearing today, and thank you for joining us.